Good evening. Like Peter mentioned, I usually have my partner here, Christiane Carmo, and we've been doing this for a couple of years. She could not be here with us tonight, so I'm going to do the program myself. The program consists of a short talk. We usually choose a theme that we believe is relevant. Sometimes we stay with the theme for a few programs. Tonight we're going to talk about surviving crisis. As you can see here, this picture is one of my. I think we're going to need to paint this picture or something similar sometime. That's how many times I bring this. It's like if a picture can express 1,000 words. For me, my opinion, this picture it's very impactful. It's very important. So when we're talking about surviving crisis, I mean there is so many types of crisis, right? There is in so many ways. I wanted to make a connection with everyone. I mean share my own feelings, my own impressions of surviving crisis. But it touches very close to home. You know, we're talking about family crisis and that's one of the, the world can be having wars out there. We can be having cyclones, typhoons, earthquakes, everything. But your family, our family, it's so precious. The people that we live with, who we were raised by, we grew up with, and in one point of our lives, and then another part of our lives, we become the caretakers. It's so interesting and it's so deep, this this experience of sharing our lives. And this is our first world. This is really our first contact with God. This is our first contact with who we are, who we ought to be, and so there is nothing more precious than family, regardless what kind of family, what size of family, where and how and who. They're there with a divine purpose. We are within the group of people that we were children of, or we're going to be parents of, or siblings of, or sometimes just friendship in a very, very big meaning. It's not by chance. It is not just a biological system, or it's not a biological fact of life. It is, before any physical implications, it's a spiritual. It's a very deep spiritual experience that we have. So, because we are imperfect beings living in an imperfect world, unfortunately, crisis, it's part of our growth, it's part of our redemption, and is also part of, unfortunately, or sometimes fortunately, the worst part that we still have, the worst side that we have, because as imperfect beings, we are not just made out of virtues. We have what is called, in the Spirit's book, I didn't know this word very well. I mean, it was unfamiliar because it's called vicissitudes, which is like, it's not just vices. It's like, it talks about how we react towards everything that comes for us to handle, to manage, to be touched by, and to play a part of. How we react towards that. If it's something bad, what will come out of us will be something bad also, or worse, or we're going to transform that and give our own energy and make something better. So, let's call it evil, right? We have our evil within us that we need to deal with, because that's the whole purpose of being imperfect, right? If we were perfect, we probably had no evil in us, and if we did, it was be so insignificant. It would be like we were just we wouldn't even be here, because that's what Earth is at this time, and we're going to explore. But it is very logical and very expected that we're going to have crisis. We're going to have crisis in the relationship. It's a fact of life. We're going to have crisis raising the children, or us being raised by our parents. We're going to have crisis of how we want our family to follow a certain path, and we're going to be disappointed. We're going to be heartbroken. We're going to be really depressed, frustrated, and everything that comes with it. So the great thing of us being in a Spiritist center, and what the Spiritist doctrine enlighten us, what we have more understanding, is not what happens to us, it's what we do with that. So just to go over the Spirit's book here, this guy here. It's a very basic question. Can people enjoy complete happiness while on earth? This is a question that Allan Kardec asks towards the end of the Spirit's book, question 920. And the answer is like, no, because life has been giving them as either a trial or an expiation. And that's what we're talking about, right? Trial and expiation. It is up to them to mitigate their misfortunes and be as happy as possible while on earth. So we know about the trials and the expiations. We all have our own personal battles. We all have our own personal evil side to handle, to deal with, and to perfect it. But how really can we mitigate those misfortunes and be as happy as possible while on earth? I think the answer will be just, we just gotta go through those experiences. We have just to go through them and make the most of it. In order for us to go through these trials and expiations and to be as happy as possible, we need tools. We need tools. We need sometimes an intercession or an intervention, right? Better term. Sometimes we do, because we are drained out of our strength. We are drained out of our force. Sometimes even our faith is shaken, because it is not just a matter of believing in God and having the faith that, just being optimist. Sometimes you are faced with situations in which you're like, I've done everything I could. I have so much trust that things will be okay, but it's just not happening. And it's, the pressure will be there. And that's the point that you have to ask ourselves, are we really, really giving ourselves all we have to address the situation? Are we really surrendering ourselves to God? Are we surrendering ourselves to a power that's beyond us? Are we asking for help to start with? Right? That's the first thing we should be doing. That's why, when they say it takes a village, certain situations, it does take a village. And there is a little myth on that village, because sometimes the village is not out there the way you expected. And I would add, if I would make that my own, it takes a special village, because every crisis is a different special crisis. It's very personal, and we are not. Sometimes we are ashamed to ask for help. Sometimes we are embarrassed. Sometimes we do ask for help, but we're not received as we expected. And and if you are in the giving part, not in the asking part, sometimes the village doesn't even know how to handle that situation. And a good friend of mine had said, like, one time she had lost her son. He was like 6 years old, teacher, and she's spiritist. She knows all about the law of reincarnation. Now she had all the consolation of talking the knowledge, but she was so 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 sad. Her son was like, he made this Chinese, and it was like a very very silly death, like violent accident. And she was just heartbroken. She had other children too, and she had a friend that reached out to her and knew that she was suffering. And she told me that, you know, her friend just showed up. You know, said, she just came in, she saw me, she hugged me, she cried with me. She didn't tell me, oh, he's gonna go to a better place. She didn't tell me, no, it's okay, you know. She just stood there because I know everything already. There was nothing really to say. There was just, sometimes you just need a physical presence of somebody just to be there. And for you to know that your pain is not just your pain. It's shareable. You can share your pain, and that's all we need. When you have your boat, and you need to park your boat for you to go to the safe harbor or to the port. You need to anchor your boat. If you don't have an anchor in your boat is just you're not going to be able to park your boat anywhere. It's just going to be adrift, right? So that those kind of people, those kind of help, those kind of assistance, just like the anchor that you need, that you don't have the strength, but somebody's there to do that job for you. That's there just to be there. What's an anchor really? To think about it, an anchor is just big piece, heavy piece of metal that has no function in the boat other than when you need to park the boat, you will go there, that weight will hit the ground, will hit something, and it will keep the boat steady there. The boat needs to be steady, needs to be safe and secure. And the simplicity of that, it's simple, but it makes sense. And then putting everything together, her pain was so great. And the way she was described to me, just there. Just there. I didn't even need to ask her. She came and she's just there and silent, and that's it. You working as an anchor, and that's very important. In crisis, we need to know how to be the village, and we also have to know how to go and ask. So it's important. In the spirited doctrine, we have this. We have tools. We have tools. We have tools not just to give us knowledge, but we have tools to actually ask for an intercession, an intervention, what needs to be done by our mentor, our personal spiritual mentors. When we ask our personal spiritual mentors to help us because we are unable to handle that situation anymore, guess what they do? Because sometimes it's just too much for them too. They ask for help, and they bring a lot of friends. Nothing seen by our eyes. We don't see this happening. Our part is to ask. We ask, we put our heart, and we make sure that we are surrendering. And that's why it's important for us to do meditation in spiritism, because just doing meditation without a purpose, without that guided meaning, why we're meditating, why we're taking our time, and it's not just for you to do the suffering. Meditating is like just be present, be in there, be surrendering and knowing that you are taken care of. That's the part of the meditation that you need to have. You need to use that with too. So one of our greatest tools is to trust that we're not alone. We're not alone, right? Trust that when Jesus said that if you're suffering, that's what I'm here for. And those intercessions are our spiritual friends that are making that connection straight with God, with the supreme power, with Jesus' legions and millions, billions of of beings that are there just to help us, just like you were in an accident. You call 911. Let's say that you just had some situation that you pass out and somebody, the ambulance will come there and they will take care of you. They will take you to the hospital. They will do the first aid. They will do the best. If your life is in danger, they will work on you. And that's pretty much what, a prayer, a request of an intercession, that's what they do. If the situation is very grave, we're in a very bad situation, they will bring not just one ambulance, they will bring the whole department. They will take care of us the way we need it. And we just need to make sure that we are wholeheartedly not just depending on ourselves. We're not just depending on the outcome and doubting whether or not we'll be fine, because we will be fine. He said in his gospel in Matthew 11:28, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Not just a rest for us. We're tired. We're suffering. I like that picture of the big rock there, because he completes in the same sequence. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. The yoke, it's when we are carrying, it's like having animals. What separates the like a bull that's carrying like weight. So there is the yoke there, and sometimes the yoke is like a support. It's like a support system, and the burden is actually the weight. Like that guy's carrying his burden is a big rock there, right? Doesn't have a yoke, but if he had a yoke, because a yoke is something that you're gonna put between. They have this a lot in the Asian countries. You put like in the back here, and you carry like two big weights, and that thing hurts your neck. The more the weight, the more the burden, the heavier it is on your yoke. So what Jesus said metaphorically is like, why you are thinking that you are carrying all of this weight, you're carrying all of this crisis, you're carrying all of this suffering all by yourself. It is not that we're not going to suffer, because in suffering, in going through these expiations, all these trials that we go, either with our family members or the people that we love the most, it is a necessary suffering in a way that we are going to get clear that we do our best for our children, but at the end of the day, they are spirits too. If they're very little, we're still carrying the responsibility as parents, but as they grow, they're responsible for their own actions. And us, we cannot, we can just guide them. That's about it. They're going to do whatever they do, like just what we did when we were young too, and life goes on, we carry on. But once the burden gets so heavy, you're carrying a cross that it's, and that's what Jesus said, if you want to follow me, you better pick up the cross and follow me, because we are born, none of us came here without our burden. So a burden is not something that just shows up. We are already, it was part of our plan to be here. We knew that we're going to go through these trials and experiences. We all have our own. And it's not clear in our mind, because if we're just thinking about all of that, we wouldn't be able to execute it. It takes time. It takes a lifetime. However, we were never to do it alone. We're always going to have this help. And at the end of the day, what Jesus was saying is like, just like a child. I'm here as representing our Father. Because God is not just Jesus' Father, He's our Father. We're the children of God as much as He is. It's just that He has reached the perfection that we will reach one day. Like very older brother, right? But He's still a brother, and He's there for us. And we should never take that for granted. We should never deviate how we do our suffering without asking, through Is it through prayers? Is it either through coming to a place like this? Is either to be involved? Now I'm gonna share something, do a little report, like I said. Um, I just getting a little more clear with my own crisis, but I have to. It's interesting because God shows, gives you signs all the time, just for you to wake up. Wake up. Stuff is happening. Wake up. We're here. You need to. You need to keep up. Open your eyes and keep up with the program here. So I was like, 2 weeks ago, I was having lunch with my wife in the patio at home. And it was like the weather was like kind of cloudy. It wasn't raining yet, but it was just and then we're just talking. Guess what? A lightning struck me. Full lightning. So this is how it happens. I'm gonna break down in frames. So we're both eating salad something. And then I look at her and she's paralyzed. She's looking at me like, and like, and then seconds, right? And she's just looking at me like this. And then I'm like, I didn't even ask what's going on. And then a bomb exploded about a foot above my head. Just like imagine a big explosion right here, right above me. And then I said, oh my God, something hit the house or something. But it was like my ear was like, it was like I had no action. I know it's to run. I tried to run, but and then I look at her and she's like, and she could talk now. And she says, your body was like all light. All the lightning struck you, but just the light got to you. And so she saw me like full of the lights. It was like bright like the sun. And the electricity never penetrated me because it would have killed me. Or if it didn't kill me, it would have damaged me very badly because I have a defibrillator pacemaker here, which is metal, magnetic. It would just probably explode within near my heart. It would probably kill me right away. And then I explained. I said, oh, so the bomb that I felt here was actually the lightning. But it was so interesting that it's like I was like inside of a bubble. The light penetrated me, but not the explosion, not the electricity per se. And then inside the house, the modems, the routers, we had a few, they all burned. So the internet and the alarm system, everything was like, oh, it was like going crazy. So I know it's not just physics. Oh, maybe the routers suck the electricity and this. You can give me any possible explanation you can give me, but I knew at that moment I was very protected. What are the chances of you being hit by a lightning, right, in your own home? And I mean, it's possible. A lot of people do, but it's like pretty much like I don't know, one in a few thousand, 1 in a million. I don't know. But the fact that you are hit by you struck by a line, and it doesn't penetrate you, and then at that same time when this was happening, after I prayed. I said, "Thank you, God." I felt the presence. I felt their presence. They were there to help me. They were there to protect me, and that was like so interesting. And I was still kind of shocked, but I was good. Nothing happened. My pacemaker, defibrillator, nothing happened, and you know. But starting that same day, I started to have I have teenagers. I have two kids. I have three kids in the house. I have two big kids that are living their own lives, but I have an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 14-year-old. And starting that day, we started having crisis. Not gonna get into details, but bad crisis, bad. And it lasted like a whole week. almost 2 weeks, and it was so bad that I was like me 24/7 just praying, God, help me. I see that you show me this sign. Help us go through all of this. Help our children. Help us. Help our marriage. Help my wife. You know, whatever. Even my pets. I even felt sorry for my pets because you could tell that even the pets were like not acting right. They were like, and it was like I don't know, and you cannot just blame, that you're being under attack. It's part of the puzzle, but you cannot just like, oh no, it's just the devil that just wants to bring me down. There is always something that you need to experience in order for you to get to the other side, for you to come stronger in the other side. Because there is always stuff that starts bubbling, 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 and there's one point that it explodes, and then you have to be just prepared for that. And we came stronger in the other side, thank goodness. Everything crisis was handled. But I will tell you right now, if it wasn't for my constant and surrendering and requesting intercession for my personal mentor, for sending whatever was happening that it was keeping the imbalance, bringing, meditating here towards the Spiritist Center, I asked for the prayers group here, help, guys help me out. And, that, I did everything in this checklist. I asked for help. I surrendered. I was very strong when I need to be strong. And because somebody has to kind of hold the floor so stuff doesn't start crumbling around you. But I will tell you, there were moments that I remember that I was just like very, very um, upset and frustrated and feeling defeated. You cannot help it but feel that way. But God is so good. Everything what is written there, come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. That's precisely it. You don't necessarily feel the whole force embracing you and all because there's so much going on in your mind, but you just let yourself, you open up to it, you feel it, and you know that they're there. You just do your part. Stay there. You stay with the right path. You talk to the right. You ask for help, not just spiritual help. If you need clinical help, all kinds of help, psychological, psychiatrical, all kinds of situations that you need, medical, whatever you need to go through, you need to go through. But this is not enough. You need to go the full circle, and that's interesting. That my like, so this happens to me, like, and why stuff happens to people, right? And my friend, soccer friend, was telling me like everything's so perfect in his life, and he's got like 5 kids, and his wife young, and they're business guy, and he's so smart and good hearted spiritual people. And he told me, he said, Valdo, we're good people. We're good to the community. They help people there. And one of his sons, like a 9-year-old son, was diagnosed with leukemia. And he was just like crying and telling me, and I was just opening up and telling me, like, God, I don't understand the heart sometimes because we're so faithful. We love God so much, and he rewards us in so many ways. But then he gives and then he takes. It's like, I can't imagine a parent seeing your kids suffer like this. So my wife and I were like, we don't even know how to handle it. And I was just listening, and I said, but you have faith. God, it's not gonna give you a burden. heavier than you can carry. So if this is happening, you're, it's gonna be okay. Your son's gonna be okay. There's situations that we don't understand now. Later on, we will understand. So just give it time, and they're doing okay. But this happens to us, right? I would. Any one of you guys have never had some type of crisis that we need to? It's like you don't have strength sometimes to handle it, and you do need to have this. So that's what our meditation is going to be about. Um, I'm going to invite you guys just to take everything in, not just praying, but let's meditate in reaching out to our spiritual friends, in reaching out to God. And in these moments that we're most vulnerable, that we're most desperate, we feel that they are with us. And they're just saying, hey, we're here. Bad stuff is happening, but you're not alone. You're going to make it. Help me out with that. So we're going to put some nice, soft music here. Peter's going to lower the lights. Actually, this is the good part of our program, because the first part, it's more for us just to guide ourselves through it. So when we do a meditation, we try to be very relaxed, to relax ourselves wherever we're sitting. Try to leave your shoulders very relaxed. Start now, first part of any type of meditation, or just taking that time. You start controlling your breathing in a way that your breathing is slow, faint. You just, once you find yourself relaxed, you close your eyes. If you have a problem concentrating, you can keep your eyes open. Look at the center, it's okay too. You can keep them closed, it's okay too. So start breathing very deeply, holding. Let go slowly. Do this for a few moments. Breathe in. Let go. As you breathe in, you bring in the great sublime energy that is here. We have so many good benefactors, good spirits, superior spirits that brings us healing. The healing powers are here. Let's breathe that in. Let go all the thoughts, any negativity that has happened during this week, or it's part there. Let's recognize them, because you cannot fake it. They're there, they came there, but it is time now to let them go. They took too much of your space, they took too much of it. As you breathe out, let all of that go. Let go the sentiments of frustration. We often feel ourselves so depressed because there's so much more evil in the world than there is goodness. At least the evil shows itself. There are, in fact, more goodness, but the goodness that there is, it's so shy. One day, when the good ones, when all the goodness there is in our hearts, in our souls, takes over, there will be no evil. Right now we're just suppressing it, but we have to recognize that the positive, the good, the divine, the sublime, the serene, it's so much bigger, superior, so much more power. We have more power to do good than to do harm. Let's recognize that we have spiritual friends who are with us on our side, inspiring us with their thoughts, telling us let go, let go of that hate, let go of that situation that is just keeping you hostage, just keeping you slave of your own. Give place only for our God. We are created with so much love. We are made of just pure love. In our essence, there is no evil. What there is in us that makes into it is just ignorance. It is just trial and error. It's just the errors that we have made. We keep trying to do better, and we're gonna err. But in essence, there's only good inside of us, and we will get rid of all of those imperfections in time. Let's take our time to do that. Let's just feel we are taken care of. Let's never find ourselves in a place that we are abandoned, because we have a loving Father. We have a loving, caring Father. He loved us so much that He sent His most perfect creature, our brother, our master, the King of this universe, King of this planet, Jesus Christ. He showed us that in this world we're never gonna achieve happiness, at least the perfect happiness that we are designed, and we will get to it. He showed us how hard it is, the trials, the expiations. Jesus taught us with His own example, with His own suffering, but He never denied to carry the cross that He didn't even belong to. And He told us that we have to carry that burden. We will have our crosses, because that's how taking responsibility and having that yoke and that burden, it's just part of us going from being perfect to the perfection of clearing our hearts, our minds, giving in order to receive, forgiving in order to be forgiven. Let's never lose heart of how much we are forgiven and how much they are listening to us. Every single prayer, every single thought we ask for help, the help is there in so many ways. In so many ways. But rest assured, any crisis, any burden, any suffering that we're going right now, it will pass. It has its time. It has its expiration. The storms of life are constant, only because we are equipped to go through them. Let's embrace those storms. At the same time, let's be prepared. Let's renew this energy of trust, this energy of faith, and surrender. We surrender. We surrender, dear God, because we're so weak. It's so hard sometimes. It's so hard. There are times in our lives that we are so hurt. We're so broken-hearted. It pains. It aches not just physically. It aches in our hearts. Our minds are so full of sadness sometimes. It's so hard to deal and being helpless sometimes, not able to help those who you love the most. And sometimes we ourselves are the ones who need help. We isolate ourselves. Thank you so much for accepting us the way we are. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for giving us this heads up, the signs for our preparedness, the signs that you are there. We need you, God. We need you, Jesus. We need you, guardian angels. Oh, so need you. So need you. And we know your power. And we do know our power. Let us always be refreshed in our souls, deep in our souls, as we refreshed and renewed of the need to surrender to you, to ask for your help, to do everything in our power to handle our situation, to help the ones who need us, to help ourselves. Let us never be caught in desperation and isolation, but we all have purposes. We know how weak and imperfect we are, and you still present yourself saying to us, don't worry, my son, don't worry, my daughter, I got you. I got you. You're gonna go through this, but not alone. Not alone. Sometimes the medicine is gonna be very bitter. The pain is gonna feel endless. The hurt in your heart, in your soul, is going to defeat you. You're gonna feel defeated. But guess what? You are in recovery. Before you know it, you're gonna bounce back. You will promote the healing of your family. You will promote your own self-healing, because we are with you. Because we're not alone. Because we're true. We're true. We're honest towards our feelings. We're honest towards our weakness. And we're honest to ask. And we're grateful to receive. So grateful. So grateful. They choke us. We are so grateful. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Jesus. You are so truthful to your words, to your teachings. Our burden, it is in fact lighter with you in the center of it all. Thanks for making this prayer be a force to thrive ask for those brothers and sisters, old and young, those suffering from any kind of violence, any kind of misfortune, any kind of solitude, any kind of mental illness, any kind of suffering, Lord, we know that they suffer. We ask for them, each one of them. We ask for each one of us here right now. We ask for each one of us who are seeing this in a later time, but is feeling the same. We ask for us, help us. Help us be assured that in fact you are there. You don't need to give us a sign, but we want you to hug us very tight, give us that very tight hug sometimes, the moments that we are desperate. So we know that we are truly free. That hug being a form of prayer, the hug being a form of somebody coming towards us, just being there, being a source of support, source of assistance. Thanks for having a spiritual place that we call home, which is this home here, where we can diffuse and we can redirect any negativity, any evil, any type of negativity that we feel that we are being pressured, attacked, or any type of insecurity. Let us just direct it here. Protect our homes. Bless each one of our family members everywhere they are. Bless us, Lord. Let us be your source, your instrument. Peace, love, forgiveness. Not just today, but every day. We thank you very much for every breath that we take, every beat of our heart. Because we don't realize how vulnerable our lives is, our physical lives. And sometimes we feel ourselves caught only on the physical, the material, and we neglect the most precious part of ourselves, which is us in spirit, our soul or essence, which is made only of love. Help us access that, because that's where we find ourselves sometimes needing the most to find who we are, what we're doing here, what we're going to, what is the purpose of my life. Help us to get there. Take time, take a few moments every day and just be present with our spiritual self. Recognize that this world is complicated, but we are simple and we are connected to the most important light there is. It is with gratitude, it is with peace in our heart